Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Catching the Facts here on the official Catching the Facts podcast network. I'm your host, Dan Sisk.
And I'm Schroeder.
And we had a really crazy weekend of college football, didn't we, Eric? I mean, it was just absolute insanity from start to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah, just crazy. Nothing really interesting in the NFL. The Chiefs beat the Lions. Nothing, the Bears game wasn't bad. That was technically an upset, right? But nothing in the NFL happened that was really eye-opening or shocking. So Eric and I decided to not really talk about the NFL this week because there wasn't anything we really wanted to. We have 5 really big games in relation to the college football this week. Namely, we have Ohio State versus Illinois. We have Indiana versus Oregon. We have Texas versus Oklahoma. We have Alabama versus Missouri. And we have Michigan versus Southern Cal. So, Eric, you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Okay, but, ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, we wanted to discuss a recent coaching decision that was made by my Penn State Nittany Lions. Eric, what was that move? What was that
Yeah.
move?
Penn State finally says goodbye to James Franklin. They kick him out the door and fire him. Not before they pay him, though. Paid him $49 million.
God.
Was the buyout.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, now, there's been some rumors that since Adidas is taking over Penn State's like jerseys and stuff, it's Nike right now, but
Yep, they're
since
gonna be
over,
the sponsors starting next year.
yeah, the sponsors, that maybe Adidas is paying for it, and Penn State's paying very little, but I don't know. But yeah, so what do you think? And what are your thoughts about the James Franklin fire? Because we said last week, we talked about them after they lost last week, and how Franklin, might be his time. Maybe not right now, but apparently it was right now, and they felt the need to
Yeah.
do it, as soon as possible. So what do you think?
So, well, two things up front. One, I do not believe that Adidas report. Largely because let's be honest, the alumni that come out of Penn State have millions of dollars at their disposal. I would not be surprised if Sunday morning, a big time alumni called up Pat Kraft and was like, I'll give you 50 mil for him to go." I honestly think that that's what happened. Is it possible that Adidas got in the middle of that? Sure, but it's not like. It's not really the thing I kind of
Oh no,
took
definitely
away from that entire situation.
no, not at all.
Also, I'm not going to really waste my time right now speculating about the future coaching potential hires. Obviously, Matt Rule is the most likely candidate. I've heard Dan Mullen's name. I've heard Kurt Signetti's name. That'll be fun to discuss when it happens. But right now, I don't really think there's a lot to really dive into. Right. So I future coaching discussions, we'll save that for them. Because that'll be interesting. My takeaway, Eric, was just James Franklin himself. What a spectacular fall from grace. I was at the game Saturday. Against Northwestern, and we got to the stadium about 45 minutes before the game started because one of the friends I went with used to be in the Blue Band, and they really wanted to see the pregame. So we were in the stadium for longer than most people. And when I tell you that it was the most uninterested, crowds that Beaver Stadium has ever hosted, I mean that sincerely. No one in that crowd was invested in the game. No one in that crowd was excited to be there. It was an almost dead. It was almost a complete. It's hard to even put into words because it was just so surreal. But no one wanted to be there. People clearly were only there because those were the tickets they had. And then on top of that, the student section, dude, halfway through the game, a third of the student section was out. They just left. I mean, they just didn't care. And honestly, who can blame them? And then on top of that, the team, obviously we kind of suspected a little bit of a come down and a bit of a negative mental reaction after the UCLA loss last week. But that team, dude, they were completely apathetic. Every
Yeah.
single play, they did not care. They didn't want to be there. They didn't give a lot of effort. I mean, it was infuriating. But honestly, after the first quarter, I wasn't angry anymore because I just didn't care. I was like, you know what? I'm wasting my time getting angry. I'm just gonna, you know, be apathetic because that's healthier for me than being upset. So back to back losses to 21-point underdogs, the first coach in history to do so. This is one of the worst stretches a coach has had in the history of professional sports, or in the case of collegiate sports, specifically the NCAA. And I mean, it had to be done, but Eric, I don't know about you, I was shocked about the timing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I don't think anyone suspected Sunday afternoon, early afternoon. Um, I expected it at the end of the year,
Yeah, me too.
but I did not expect it now. And honestly, I think that's because they know a 6-game losing streak is coming. I think they saw the performance against UCLA and they saw the performance against Northwestern, and they were like, you know what? He's not beating Iowa. And I think they're right for assuming that. I don't think they're beating Iowa. Iowa's not great, but Kirk Ferentz is a highly respected coach. That you know they're going to win that game. You know, Iowa will win that game. Um, and then they have Ohio State and Indiana right after that, and we know how those two games are going to go. So suddenly you're looking at a 6-game losing streak for the Penn State Nittany Lions after starting. You know, in the preseason they were ranked number 2 by the Associated Press, and they're going to have a 6-game losing streak with 2 of those being to 21-point underdogs. Um, Penn State saw ahead. Pat Kraft saw ahead. They knew that was coming, and they decided to just cut bait now. And I respect them for that decision. It was the correct decision, even if it takes a blow to the finance sheet, you know, the balance sheet for a year or two. Um, I mean, again, what will James Franklin's legacy be? I mean, he's tied for second most wins, right? In program history behind Joe Paterno, but none of the, I mean, 5 of those were in meaningful situations against big time teams. And it was just, he never won when it mattered. And if you can't win when it matters at Penn State, you're not really worth my time, man. You're just not worth my time. So it was the right decision. I'm happy they made it. I am pleasantly surprised at the timing. I truly did not expect that. I was driving back home. Um, I was driving back home actually from Penn State, and my friend and I were, we were talking, right? And suddenly my friend stops talking, and he's like, "Hold on, stop!" And he literally told me to shut up. I was like, "Why? Screw you! Why should I shut up?" And, he just said, "I need to check if this is real." And I was like, "What is going on?" That he's freaking out. And he's like, "Franklin's out." And when I tell you, I almost swerved my car off the road. I was like, it was a strange feeling of euphoria, but also shock. Um, I mean, it was crazy. Factor in Drew Aller, Jesus Christ. Um, Another awful performance. And then when he gets injured and he's out for the year, um, dude, the fans cheered.
I did see that. Yep.
They cheered.
Yeah, which yeah,
I mean, they didn't keep cheering, so I don't think anyone
right.
on television heard. But if you were in that stadium, I heard cheers around me for about 5 seconds before the stadium went quiet as the training staff ran out to treat him. And that tells you everything you need to know.
For sure. And a lot of the blame in these big games is obviously going to be put on Franklin, which it's well deserved because he has. I
Yes.
mean, he hasn't showed up, but it's also been the execution, especially this year, with Drew Allar. Even before he got hurt, major decline in
Yeah.
performance. Um, and even last year we saw it. We've talked about it many times, even on this show already.
Yep.
Um, that he just doesn't show up in big moments, and but him getting hurt, and I know it's probably terrible to say, but him getting hurt and obviously James Harden getting fired, it's probably the best situation for them at the moment.
Yes, I completely agree. Um,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
100%.
and then obviously, so which Pat Kraft actually said, he said it wasn't a 3 game thing, with him getting fired, but I mean that definitely had something to do with it.
No, it was because what if it wasn't a 3 game thing, then why didn't you fire him last year? I know they
Exactly,
went to the
exactly,
semifinal. I know they went to the semifinal, but if it was truly about the big game losses, that's a big game loss. What are
one
you
hundred
talking
percent.
about, Pat?
Yeah, exactly. And he didn't have any notable wins even to start this year. So he said Pat Kraft said that he knew Saturday night. He said he just had to sleep on it. I think he knew honestly right when that semifinal game ended.
I agree.
I mean you just have to know, and you could tell Franklin knew that it was going to be his last time.
Yeah.
Um, you know, so and just the boos ringing out as he was walking off the field,
Yep.
because I mean the fans expect better. I mean Penn State, top program in the country all the time. Yeah, they haven't won in since 1986, but I mean it doesn't matter. They're always at the top of the sport. So
Yeah, no, they I was saying last week that they needed a Florida State-esque reset, and I stand by that, but I suspect that they're going to get a coach who can take the talent that Franklin acquired, which is substantial, right? And I think they're going to try to find a coach that can add his own flair and his own, you know, guys to that established core um to try to win next year. I think winning next year is a little ambitious, but I think that that's what they're going to try to do. Matt Rule is a coach that, I mean, dude, he got Temple to 10 wins.
for sure,
Do you realize how like much of a big deal that is? I mean,
yeah,
he's very good. He got Baylor. He picked up the Baylor program right after all those horrible sanctions from the sexual assault scandal. And they were horrible. I think they were 2-10 or 1-11 his first year at Baylor, but then he got Baylor back to double-digit wins. And then after a horrible stint at Carolina, he goes back to college to take over a Nebraska program that Scott Frost ran into the ground, right? And now Nebraska is ranked again. In 2025, Nebraska is 5-1 and ranked. I mean that he he's a very good coach, but he takes time to build up the program. It took 2 to 3 years at Temple, Baylor, and Nebraska for all three of those teams to really level up and
right,
be good. But none of those teams had the first couple times he didn't have NIL. But Nebraska does not have the NIL resources that Penn State does.
for
So
sure,
if he
yeah,
has more money, if he has more money at his disposal, imagine what he could do. So
yeah,
I still am going to expect that next year is a dud for Penn State because I just don't think that any coach, no matter how much money he's allowed to play with, and no matter how much freedom he's given, will be able to turn this around in a year. But I think that within 2 years, we'll be back to the team being ranked again and being competitive again, and that's the way it should be. But next year will be rough. But again, as I said last week, you need to expect a down period just to get out of this spiral, and I'm more than willing to eat 2 bad years for long-term gain. I'll take that all day, every day. As a fan, I'm very happy with that. But I mean, we'll see who they get. We're not going to know until they hire someone, and I don't think they're going to make a decision on that until after the playoff, and they see if Signetti is willing to leave.
for sure, and yeah, but they also have to see how the interim head coach Terry Smith will do.
Of course,
Obviously, local guy, coached in Western PA pretty much his whole coaching career for high school football. Then went to Temple. He's a wide receivers coach, and then he's been at Penn State since 2014.
When Franklin,
Um,
yeah,
they're gonna with him being the head coach for now, even if they stick with him, they'll have very good defenses.
yeah,
In which that's one thing that Penn State has pretty much always had until honestly up until this year. Um, but it's hard to judge this year, especially for Terry Smith, just because the situation he's put into. Um, but also just for Penn State in general, because I mean they haven't been showing up on the field and they don't look anything like we've seen Penn State look
yeah,
in honestly recent and honestly like ever since I've been alive. Penn State's always been good, and right now they look really really bad.
yeah,
Um, but I mean going forward, it's just a matter of who are they going to get because honestly, I don't think they're. I mean, unless Terry Smith somehow gets them to like the semifinals. I mean, even if they make the playoffs, which they won't.
no,
I mean, I don't see them keeping him around for head coaching job to keep him on, but
yeah.
yeah, like Matt Rule, that would be a great, um,
Penn State alum, it
a
would be a
great
good hire.
ad. Just
It
because,
would be a
like you
good
were saying, I mean, Penn State has way more talent than Temple, Baylor, and even Nebraska.
hire.
And like you said with NIL, it's just a matter of what he can do. And like you said, turns those programs around in 3 years. What can he do with a team that has like actual talent?
Yeah, and NIL, he's already shown that he can adapt to the new rules of college football because when he took over Nebraska, Dylan Raiola was one of the top quarterback prospects out of high school, and he was at Georgia his first year, and now Raiola's the quarterback for Nebraska. So clearly, Matt Rule can utilize NIL. He's not one of these outdated college coaches, right? That was good.
Right.
He's not like it tells you how sad it is. I'm blanking on his Mike Gundy over at Oklahoma State, where the guy was successful and won a championship, but couldn't adapt to NIL rules, right? And he went away because of it. Matt Rule can work within the new NIL rules, and with the fact that he can do that, plus the financial resources that he get at Penn State, I would see a good future for the program if they got him. But that's a big if. He might
For
not want to leave
sure.
Nebraska, but I suspect that if they give him a big enough offer, he'll take it, especially because he's an alum of Penn
Yeah,
State.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It just depends on how much they pay him. And Penn State would be able to pay him more. It just depends on, how much he wants to, if he wants to stay,
Yeah,
which
but
he
again,
honestly might. I
of
mean, it's hard to
course,
speculate right now for coaching
of course,
decisions.
of course, definitely, definitely. But again,
Yeah,
as I said at the beginning, I'm not really concerned about is Matt Rule or Cincinnati, are they on the market right now? That's not
right.
what
Yeah,
the takeaway is.
exactly.
My honest takeaway for this week was James Franklin lost the locker room after that
Yep. Oh,
Oregon
yeah,
game, and he could not get the players in the right mindset or the right headspace for two awful teams, and that killed his entire tenure here.
for sure.
It's very rare you see coaches blow up like this. He was one great drive away from going to the national championship game in January, and he is fired in October.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Now, that being said, that obviously, they say you can't define a game from one play, but Drew Aller threw a pick to lose the game.
Yeah,
So,
which
I
is
mean,
par
it's
for the course with him.
exactly what Drew Aller injured. He's out for the year.
Yep.
So, yeah. I mean,
Or Ethan Grunkemeyer. He's not bad. But he's gonna have to go into Ohio State, man. I mean, that's like you're literally throwing that poor child to the wolves. I mean,
for
you
sure.
are. We're gonna get to Ohio State in a minute or two here, but I mean that game is gonna. I mean, I'll watch it because I want to talk about it that week. Obviously, we're gonna talk about it for the show, but I mean, it's gonna be a 30-point game. I mean, it's gonna be a disaster. But
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. And
no,
I bet Penn State's missing Bo Prabula right now because he honestly looked good last year.
he did.
And obviously he went to where'd he go?
Missouri,
Missouri.
Missouri,
So
yeah,
for an opportunity to be a starting QB, which he would be the starter at Penn State. But
yep.
right now, man, Missouri is looking way better than Penn State. So
Yeah, and we're going to talk about Missouri in a couple of minutes here.
yeah.
That's a big game for them, despite the result.
But yeah, that was just
Um,
a huge portal move there
yep.
for
And
Bo Prabula.
let's just put it into a sentence. Let's dilute this down, shall we? James Franklin put all of his eggs in the Drew Aller basket, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, one of the, yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
That is the one sentence that sums up Penn State.
for sure. Yeah, he just went
So
all in. Went, set the house on Drew Aller, which makes sense. I mean, he was the third best quarterback coming out of the state of
yeah,
Ohio, which is a really tough, high school football
huge hub
state.
for recruiting. Yeah,
But I mean, didn't work
yep,
out. Now he's
didn't work
injured
out.
and
Uh huh.
draft stock slipping uh,
And I
immensely.
don't, and he can't get a medical red shirt because he played 6 games. You have to have played 4. So
Right.
he has to go to the pros. Uh, Good luck,
I mean,
Drew.
it's either for Drew Aller, man. It's either go to the pros or study his major real hard. So,
Yeah, whatever.
but
Okay.
I do still think he gets drafted. Obviously.
I do, but I don't think he's going to get above a practice squad.
Yeah.
You
Which
know,
is a shame. I mean, he was
considering the hype, I guess it's a shame, but we have
right
years of results, dude, and he hasn't delivered.
for sure. No, yeah, it's a shame where Penn State, just set the house on him, didn't work out, and that happens. But I mean, it came back to bite him real bad. Obviously, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So
It
yeah,
can
I mean,
it
that's
can
all I
come
got
back,
on Penn
of course,
State
and
though.
it can come back to bite you, but I don't think
I mean,
it hasn't come back to bite anyone else to the extent that they lose to back 21-point underdogs.
yeah, right.
That's the
It
thing.
I'm like it hasn't just come back to bite them. I mean, it came back to hospitalize him for a few years, man.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, this Drew Aller and obviously James Franklin set Penn State. It's hard to say James Franklin, because he was there for a while. He was fine as a
Yeah.
coach,
It was
just
all
couldn't
right.
take him to the next step.
Uh-huh.
But Drew Aller, I mean, he set them back probably 2-3 years at the
He did.
least. So
He did. He
so
really
yeah,
did.
it's tough, tough
And
spot,
it's hard
tough
to
place
put
to
that on
be.
a kid. It's hard to put that on a kid, but it's true. I mean, we got, if Drew Aller's willing to put himself in front of these reporters all the time, right? And he's willing, you have to shoulder some responsibility even though you aren't a professional. So I don't feel guilty for saying that he set the program back cuz he did.
Yeah, I mean it's tough because it's a group effort, but I mean we've seen him, sell multiple games.
Yep.
So I mean,
100%.
and it might sound crazy to say, but we've been seeing this for 4 years now. So
Yeah, agreed. Okay.
so
Well,
yeah.
we spent a little over 20 minutes in our little prologue section.
Oh my
but
goodness,
but I mean we had I
it had
feel
to be done.
it had to be done, and I mean, uh, I think we were both very honest and very fair, and
Maybe a little harsh, but I mean we're just telling the truth.
yeah, yeah, we call it like we see it. That's
Exactly.
what you get on catching the facts. You get honesty.
Yeah, yeah. Not gonna
Yeah.
sugarcoat stuff.
Nope, absolutely not. Okay, guys, so now we're gonna actually move on to the
All right.
games. So we're gonna start off with what was an absolute bulldoze from start to finish. Eric, Ohio State visiting number 1 Ohio State visiting number 17 Illinois. What do you have on that one?
Yeah. So Ohio State goes into Illinois and just kills them. 34-16 final score. Ohio State wins it. And this was a great win, another ranked win, of course, in their already weak schedule.
Yep,
Now they have no more ranked opponents left for the rest of the year. But I mean, this is a huge win, man. And I thought at the beginning of the year, which in regards to the running backs for Ohio State, I thought James Peoples was going to be the guy. I mean, they were already going to him when Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins were there, but Bo Jackson has really flipped this around and it's kind of almost solidified himself with regards to CJ Donaldson as well. But he's kind of solidified himself as the RB1 at the moment, and he's only a freshman. I mean, he already has 400 yards on the year
yeah,
and
yeah.
2 touchdowns.
He's really, really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, the rushing attack for Ohio State is really, really strong, and it makes up for Julian Sand being just a step below elite. Like he's very good. He's not bad. Julian Sand is not bad by any stretch, but he's just shy of elite in my opinion.
And that's
He,
the thing recently we're seeing with a lot of Ohio State quarterbacks.
Will Howard, of course. Yeah.
I mean, you go to Kyle McCord,
Yep.
Will Howard even. He was
Yep.
good, just not. I mean, he's not good. He doesn't have to be elite,
No.
because of the
When you have
talent
those
around him. I mean, they
receivers,
got
yeah,
NFL
exactly.
talent everywhere. So
Exactly. So Sayan is just another McCord and another Howard, but he's very good and he led that offense well and he had two passing TDs, so that, it was a good game for him. This for me was all about the physicality. Um I was watching this game at a tailgate and so I couldn't really hear the commentary, but dude, they ran over Illinois ad nauseum. I mean, it was complete physical domination from start to finish. I'll be honest, I don't see a team finishing within 17 to 21 points from them. I think Ohio State will win by 17 to 21 points for the rest of the year. And I think they're going to win the national championship. They have that much talent. They are that physical. They could play that team could play an NFL team and win. Um,
yeah, they could honestly they could beat the Browns. I mean,
yeah, definitely. They are so freaking good,
yeah,
so good. I mean, uh, look, I'm a Penn State fan. I'm not the biggest fan of Ohio State, but I've always had immense respect. I've never been one of these people to like give them the middle finger every time I see them. Um, I'm not one of those people. You have to just admire what Ryan Day has constructed.
for sure.
He spent the first couple years of his tenure as head coach, let's be honest, eating Urban Meyer's leftovers. But now that that is in the past, they're even better than they were under Urban Meyer. I mean, they are true. This is one of the best and most complete college football teams I have seen in my 10, 15 years of watching the sport adamantly and like with attention, And they're truly a unicorn. I'm dead serious when I say that they're going to be undefeated and they're going to win the national championship. I think it's over. I really do. No, it's
Wow.
Bro, it's over. It's over.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
over. They went into a very solid Illinois team and they pummeled them from start to finish with basically no breaks.
Yeah.
I mean, that is that's remarkable. That's absolutely remarkable. And as you said, when you look at Ohio State's schedule for the rest of the year, considering what happened to Michigan, we'll get to that in a couple, probably in 20 minutes or so. Uh, the rest of the regular season is a cakewalk, and then you got the first the first couple rounds of the playoffs. It's over. It's over. I really
Yeah.
believe that, man. They're that good. This is 2019 LSU with Joe Burrow and all those guys, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, all of them. They might be that good. They
Yeah.
might.
With regards to Michigan, that game at the end, I mean, honestly, right now, man, in in recent years, I mean, it's a one game season. Just
Sure.
you just gotta beat Michigan, and that's really it. Because all
I
these
get it.
other teams, even Penn State right now, which they always beat them. They beat them a lot, especially the past couple years.
Yeah.
But I mean, that Michigan game, no matter what either of these teams' records are, it's going to be a physical game, a gritty game. It's going to be a close game, and honestly, maybe even a low scoring one this year,
Sure.
even with Penn State's defense or Ohio State's defense.
Yeah, and I look, I completely agree. Say what you will about Sharon Moore, and you can say a lot, but he gets those boys ready for the game.
For sure. And
They walk into that stadium and they're ready to go down and tumble. And
yeah,
that's very important against Ohio State. I agree that it'll probably be a relatively close game, but I stand by and I think they're going to win by 14, 17 points. I don't think it's going to be a one score game.
I don't know.
I
I
just
I
don't.
think they win by like 10 maybe, but it'll be close. It won't be.
You think it's going to be closer than I do? Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, just because of what happened last year, man. I mean, we were hyping Ohio State up, and honestly, everybody was going into that game. They were favorites into that game by I don't remember how much, by a lot.
But they
And
laid an egg.
they go in and lose, which I don't really mind. because I honestly think that fueled them the rest of the season.
Of
They
course,
they
that
they
mentality.
needed that loss.
Yep, that mentality. They walked into the national championship game like it was week one.
For sure, and obviously you never want to drop one to your biggest rivals, but
Yep,
and I'm not
motivated.
saying they should lose that game every year,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah,
but I mean it'll be close, but I think they do win that game. Now, with regards to this game, Illinois, I mean they've looked good all year, and
yeah.
they're unranked now. Um,
Which seems a
they
little aggressive. Drop them to 23 or
see, but
24.
I don't know. I don't know, man, because they got killed by Indiana, who I think is arguably one of the best teams in the nation for
We're
sure. I
gonna
mean, they're
talk
ranked
about
third,
them.
obviously, but
Yeah,
I mean, clearly better than Oregon, um, who we thought was the easily the second best team in the country.
yeah,
Um, but like those losses, and they almost lost to USC, so I think them being unranked is okay, and then they get pummeled at home to Ohio State, which that's tough because obviously they're the most complete team in the country, the best team in the country. But when you're going in ranked like this, you can't be losing this badly at home. And they scored 16 points, but it wasn't a good 16 points. I mean, it was never
no,
close.
nope.
The only time it was close is when the game started. It was 0-0. Um,
Yeah,
they were a very disciplined team. They only had 19 yards of penalties, so that's what you want to see. Their defense didn't look bad, even though they did let up 34 points. Um, they had Ohio State punt 4 times, which is crazy,
yeah.
considering they scored 34 points. You would think they only punted 0 times or maybe even one.
Once,
I mean,
yeah,
they beat them in every category except the game. I mean, which because Ohio State was just more physical.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And look, I co-sign with what you said, considering the Indiana loss, but dude, they're gonna finish with 2 to 3 losses, or rather, yeah, and likely three. They'll choke one of the easy ones, right? But I mean, a 2 to 3 loss season is a 2 to 3 loss season. That's very good.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah, yeah.
let's be fair. I'm not saying they're top 15 because they wouldn't be, but a
Right.
record like that should be acknowledged. It should.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, for sure.
I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
because
no,
I mean
I
they went
agree
ten
with
and
what you
three
said.
last year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
I agree with what you
yeah,
said, though.
for sure. Yeah, but I mean, as far as Ohio State goes, their schedule's paper thin at the moment. Honestly, paper thin, and that's what we were kind of saying last week when we said we were going to talk about this game. Their schedule's so weak right now. Obviously, they unranked Illinois, but I mean, Texas and Ohio State, that was the 1 and 2 coming into the game. Now Texas is ranked 21st. Um, they have no more unless one of these, teams get ranked that they play. They have no more ranked opponents.
Sure. I mean, I guess the next test for them is Michigan when you put it like that, right?
Right.
That's going to be the next game where they're really challenged.
For sure.
Um,
Yeah, but yeah, I do think they go undefeated. They're going to make a deep run in the playoffs if they don't win the national championship. So,
I truly
and
believe.
last year, I was saying for Ryan Day, especially even after that Michigan loss, which was terrible.
Yeah,
Even though they were a 2-loss team last year. Um, it was natty. It was national championship or bust for Ryan Day, especially with
and he
that
got it.
squad that he had. And he's really gained my respect these past couple years, man. Because
Yeah,
even before that, like you were saying, it was Urban Meyer's team. But he has a great culture for this team right now, and I really like how it's looking right now
yeah,
for Ohio State.
yeah. I guess my last thing on it. You can keep going if you want, but I'm going to stand by it, man. I think the physicality I saw them utilize against a really solid Illinois defense, as you mentioned. I think that physicality is eventually what it comes down to in these big games, especially the SEC. You're gonna have to play an SEC team in
For
the
sure.
playoff, and the SEC is as gritty and grimy as it gets. You need to be physical, and this Ohio State team has the talent to have one of the best seasons in college football history, which would be an undefeated national championship and Big Ten championship victory. So I think they're going deep. I think they're going to easily win the conference. I think they're easily going to win um, the national championship. I should have mentioned this. obviously the Big Ten championship is going to be them in Indiana. I think they smoke Indiana. I think the Indiana game is a cakewalk. I think they're that good. I really do. So
Yeah,
maybe
and
I find it hard to believe that the Penn State fan is hyping up Ohio State more than the Ohio State fan on this show. The hell is this?
yeah, I mean, and I mean, what for the Penn State game, they do have the number one recruit coming in that just decommitted from Penn State, which I forgot to mention that Penn
The
State's
running
losing a
back,
bunch of
yeah.
recruits now. It's like when Saban left Alabama.
Yep.
Penn State's losing a bunch of recruits because Franklin's gone, which
As
they should because they're
expected.
not very
As
good anymore.
expected. Yeah, no, that's not.
Right,
When I
exactly.
saw the running back leave, yeah, I was like, yeah, obviously. I didn't even get that up. I didn't really care. I was like, yeah, of course he is.
Yeah, and there, I mean, there's just even more guys leaving that are probably going to come to Ohio State's. Even Alabama go down to the SEC. So yeah, I mean, they're here to stay as the top team in the country for honestly, I even think going into next year, like next year as well.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
so yeah, but I mean, that's all I got. I think they're going to make a deep run in the playoffs. I think they do beat Michigan this year. Say it every year, but I actually do believe it this time.
Okay.
Because I mean they're just too dominant right now, and
Yeah,
obviously we're going to talk about it here. Michigan just lost, and now they're unranked. So,
sure. I
so
just
yeah,
I really think they're special, man. I really do.
yeah,
I really do. But that's all I have as well.
yeah. That's all I got.
Okay, moving on to a game that I don't think either of us saw coming. Indiana visiting Oregon. Eric, what do you have on that one?
Yeah, Indiana goes into Eugene, Oregon, and wins 30-20. And
What?
yeah, yeah. I mean, this game really surprised me. Indiana jumps to third. Oregon falls to 8, which I think is appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, great game, and it was funny. Last year, Kurt Signetti almost came off as arrogant.
Talked
Um,
way too much.
yeah, but
Way too much.
he's really tuned it up this year, and he's honestly just focusing on the team more. You don't see him really too much in the media. You don't see him running his mouth like he did last year.
He learned
So,
his lesson.
which he needs, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they are Fernando Mendoza, really, really underrated quarterback this season.
Yes,
I don't think he's like a Heisman contender or anything, but if we're talking about just like underrated quarterbacks. It's probably him and then the Georgia Tech kid. I'm forgetting the name of. But you know what I'm talking about, the other dual threat guy.
oh
Those
yeah,
are the two most underrated quarterbacks in the league right now. He's really, really solid.
for sure.
As you mentioned, I think Kurt Signetti has tuned up his act. He comes off as less of a punk. He comes off as less of an arrogant, douche. And as a result, I mean, he's focusing on the team, and you're seeing the results. I did not expect this game to go down the way that it did. This Indiana team is better than last year's Indiana team. I mean, say what you will about last year's Indiana team, they lose their two competitive games with Ohio State and Notre Dame, but that team still only lost two games. I mean,
Right, and both those
you got to
teams
give
went to the
respect.
national championship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you have to respect. Exactly, that's a good point. They lost to the two teams in the national championship, right? So you gotta you can look into that however you want, but this team is better. Signetti is more mature, and
Yeah,
it's working out and paying dividends, and it's really resulting in a new culture at Indiana. They're a basketball school, and now they're number 3 in the country in football. I mean, that's crazy to me, man. I didn't think I'd see the day where Indiana football would be like super relevant.
for
That's
sure.
crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, and like you said, I like that point you brought up about Fernando Mendoza being underrated because they just keep finding these underrated guys. I don't know where they're finding them. I mean,
Yeah,
last year they had Curtis Rourke. He got drafted in the 7th round to the 49ers, I think it was. Um,
I don't remember.
I don't know. He got drafted. I think he's playing in like the CFL right now, actually. But
Okay.
I mean, still, he was very good in college, elite almost, you could say. Um, but yeah, and Fernando Mendoza is fit right into that role. Yeah, he threw an interception. It wasn't great. It wasn't a great interception, but it's gonna happen. Because Dante Moore, who we were even hyping up last a couple weeks ago when they beat Penn State, we thought he
Bye
was
bye
one of the
Heisman. Bye bye.
exact. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we thought he was the top one of the top quarterbacks in the country. Goes in here at home, throws 2 interceptions, loses the game. I mean,
Yeah.
it was not good. Wasn't pretty. Um, Honestly, a really bad and surprising loss for Oregon, considering what they did against Penn State.
Yeah, their defense was okay. Their defense wasn't atrocious, but 30
Well,
points
they
is
let
30
up
points.
30 points again.
Exactly. 30 points is 30 points. So even if the defense wasn't atrocious, I mean, you have to factor in the 2 interceptions with the better field position for Indiana, but still, I mean, 30 points to Indiana is 30 points. So,
Right.
um, a very average to slightly below average performance for the defense. But when Noah Whittington is non existent on the field, I mean, he tore apart Penn State. It was hard to believe it was the same running back, dude. I mean, it was hard to believe I was watching the same player. And when you factor in Dante Moore, one of the worst games of his career, I mean, it results in a 10-point loss at home. I mean, that's crazy to me. That really
Yeah.
is insane.
Now, yeah, it's a 10-point loss, but the one, it was that interception that Mendoza threw. It was a pick six. Um,
Yeah,
which I mean, that was Roman Hemby that intercepted it, which was a great interception, by the way. He jumped that route perfectly in
it
man
was.
coverage.
It's
I mean,
there are a few highlights that you like to look on YouTube
yeah,
that are cooler than watching the corner just read the quarterback like a book and just
yeah,
run
for
up
sure.
and pluck it. Just not even
Yeah, and
making
that's the
big
thing
effort to
when
get it too. I mean,
right,
it was nuts.
yeah. Honestly, I mean, 'cause that's the thing. Like, what you're gonna find when and what's his name? What's oh my god? What's I can't think of his name. Oh my god, what is the Oregon coach?
Oh, Dan Lanning.
Yeah, yeah. Jeez. Yeah, Dan Lanning. He likes to run a lot of man coverage, and we saw it against which it was a bold play, but last year we saw it against Ohio State. We saw a lot of man,
Yeah,
um, which worked out in their favor. They win, but with the thing is with man coverage is you can almost if you know what you're looking at and you can read the quarterback's eyes like Hemby did, you can uh, almost run the route for the receiver and just
yeah,
jump it. And that's exactly what we saw. And it was a great play. And Fernando Mendoza, you can't throw that football. I mean, that you're trying to fit it in to a tight window when the cornerback is basically running the route for him right on his back. You can't. I
yeah,
mean, it was a terrible ball.
yeah.
So,
Um, as for Oregon as a whole, the Penn State loss now looks real bad.
yes. Oh,
Like
yeah.
that Penn
Horrible.
State win looks really bad, and now Indiana. Are we getting nervous? We were hyping up Oregon as a legitimate team, but
We were.
now it's like, what the hell? Like,
Right. Um,
are we buying into Oregon? Should we sell some stock? I don't feel comfortable with the Dan Lanning squad. He's such a good coach. I don't feel comfortable completely dismissing them. But
no.
I think it's totally fair to like again sell some stock. I mean, they don't have a very difficult schedule going forward. They're probably going to win out. Um, but
Yeah.
I just I think it's
They,
should we?
yeah. I feel like we honestly should lose some stock. Now, in that yeah, honestly, yeah.
When you factor in
Not
the
all
Penn
of it,
State game, I mean, it
for
really opens it
sure.
up.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at things because I mean, it basically all just comes back to Penn State, and I mean, they struggled in that game. The only reason really that they lost, and again, it's hard to go off one play, but Drew Aller throws another pick to lose the game.
Yeah,
So, I mean, and then they lose this game. It's really tough. Indiana, obviously one of the best teams in the country.
yeah,
Um, Coming from behind, it was really impressive. But it's really hard to write them off because they're obviously going to make the playoffs.
yeah,
Um, it's just a matter of how they perform in the playoffs because last year they didn't show up. So
yeah. And Notre Dame was not highly ranked. I believe they were seven, and they went to the championship. So I mean, you can start low. Like Oregon will probably, I suspect they'll get up to like six, by the time the playoffs get around, somewhere in that range,
Yeah, because
and
I mean, yeah, yeah,
you can
because
make a deep run
for
with
sure.
that.
Oh yeah, definitely. But they just got to show up in the playoffs. I mean,
Yeah,
last year they didn't. In the regular
depends on
season, they beat
Dante
Ohio
Moore.
State by 1, and then they lose to Ohio State they got killed by Ohio State in the playoffs. Um, they just got to be prepared, and obviously it's tough. Which these cross country games are killing
Hard.
teams.
They're very hard.
But I mean, Indiana was kind of cross country, kind of like halfway. But
Sure. Yeah.
losing at home, that's not what you want to do. I mean that stadium, it's very loud and it's a great environment to play in. Should be tough. You shouldn't lose honestly at home. For these huge schools because of the environment, and the crowd behind you. So it's a really bad loss for Oregon, and they could have honestly dropped lower, but it's hard because Penn State was ranked pretty high at the time of that
Yeah.
win. So
Yeah.
you can't really write that off. But
Yeah, and we have to abide by the rules of, oh well, Penn State was super highly ranked when they play. Like you have to operate off that, which I've
right,
never really liked, to be honest with you. Like you have, in my opinion, you look at the whole season and you look how the teams turned out, and then factor that into the rankings as well. But I can
agree.
understand why the committee does it the way they do. I just don't personally agree. That's besides the point. I just feel that Penn State victory really doesn't look great at this point, and
Yeah,
we'll see what happens with Oregon. I do think they win out. I think they beat USC, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. I just refuse to fully sell on Dan Lanning because he is a top 5 coach in the sport. So
yeah, for
I'm
sure.
not going to completely tap out. I just was very disappointed with what I saw from their
No,
offense.
yeah, no, and you can't tap out. I mean, Indiana's looked very good, and they've been kind of under the radar this entire season because they really haven't played anybody.
Yeah,
Um, and they almost lost to Iowa last week. So and they always turn it up, obviously at the end of the year and make a run. But
yeah,
I mean, if they do what they did in the playoffs last year, it's not gonna end well
yeah.
for either of these teams.
Yep. Yep, completely agree. That's all I have on that game. What about you?
Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, guys. So next up is the this year's rendition of the Red River rivalry between number 6 Oklahoma and well, at this point unranked Texas. So Eric, what was going on there?
Yeah, Texas wins it 23-6 against Oklahoma at home. Huge win for Texas, getting back into the win column after those 2 losses. I mean, this is a big win, and Arch Manning, his stats don't look good, but he played good.
Yeah,
Um, they didn't throw the ball too much because they didn't really have to, because Quintravion Wisner was just running all over them.
yeah,
So it was a really impressive win and a huge upset for Oklahoma.
yeah, yeah. Definitely. First off, I love that this game is played in the Cotton Bowl every year. It's such a great has such a great vibe. It is in many ways a Texas home game due to the location, being in Dallas. But still, I mean, they sell the tickets down the middle, so it just really creates a fun atmosphere. So, yay again to the Red River rivalry. It's a fun game to watch every year. Um, okay, Arch Manning. I don't care what the final score is. He was awful again. 166 passing yards. He threw more shovel passes than Drew Aller. I mean, he is anyone still buying this child's stock? Is anyone buying in? Is anyone, please, if there is a listener,
No,
please leave a
I
comment down
I'm
below,
definitely not.
either on either on YouTube or Spotify, both platforms. Please leave a comment if you're buying into Arch Manning, because if you are, you need to get checked into a psych ward. I don't care that they beat number 6 Oklahoma. He is awful, awful. He is so bad. Okay, I had to get that out of my system. Go on. Anyway,
uh,
okay.
yeah, yeah. And with the talent that he has at wide receiver, I mean, it's
Inexcusable.
right.
inexcusable. But as for the game itself, John Mateer, I mean, again, we we hadn't really talked about Oklahoma because I think Eric, we said it last week, we're not fully buying in Oklahoma.
Right.
Um, that being said, I do not think that we would be so low on Oklahoma that they would score 6 points against a bad Texas team. Um, John Mateer was atrocious. 20 for
Oh,
38,
terrible.
202 passing yards, and three picks.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
plus a fumble by Oklahoma. It was just really sloppy play all around. Really ugly to watch. If I'm an Oklahoma fan, I mean that's just a miserable watch. That is so bad. I just I don't know. I feel Oklahoma is in a really tough spot where Brent Venables is making improvements. But he's just not able to break through in a really difficult conference to play. You know, moving to the SEC was a big deal for Oklahoma a couple years ago, but at this point, I think it's really safe to make the assumption that jumping from the Big 12 to the SEC is really friggin' hard.
Yeah.
And there's just so much there's so many talented teams in the conference. Even the ones who aren't elite are really difficult to beat, right? And it's just it's a really bad situation for Oklahoma overall, largely because of, to be fair, largely for reasons out of their control, but stuff that you have to deal with. And Brent Venables is not dealing with it the way that he probably should, because this game should have been, even if you lose, it should be close, and especially with Manning's performance, and it wasn't, and that's really a bad sign.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Arch Manning is really struggling. But the Texas defense played good. I mean, they came into the year as one of the top defenses in the country, held Ohio State to 14 points, but
Yeah.
recently they haven't. I mean, they haven't looked good.
Yeah,
Um,
two of those picks were gorgeous plays by the
yes,
safeties. Just really beautiful plays. The defense was very good and made up for Manning's, deficiencies for the most part.
yeah, that's one thing that's really. I mean, Arch Manning's holding the team back.
Yeah,
They really
he
could
is.
be, where their preseason ranking was #1 in the country. They just have to. I mean, Arch Manning has to step it up, or they just have to move on. I know that's crazy to say. He's only a freshman, but it's. I mean, it's really hard, and obviously you got to give him time to improve. But we're 6 games through the year, and he really hasn't shown any improvement. He's honestly gotten worse.
Yeah,
So
I mean, he
it's
played correction if you do may, he's a sophomore because he played a couple
oh
games
yeah, right, yep,
here.
sorry, yep,
But as we discussed in our last rendition of the show, it's not like in freshman, they played him against garbage opponents. They played him against the unranked teams and had Quinn
right,
Ewers play everyone else. So
yeah,
he didn't really get his feet wet against high quality opponents last year. This was his opportunity this year to do that, and he has failed every step of the way. And it's hard to watch. Um, well, it's hard to watch for Texas fans. For people outside of the Texas fan base, it's just vindication that a last name doesn't result in talent, right? And yeah, I don't it's hard to argue that with only two losses and a victory of this magnitude in a big rivalry game that you sit them.
for
Um
sure. Oh
Sarkeesian
yeah, no,
because Sarkeesian is stupidly low. Look at how he worked with Quinn Ewers last year. He was stupidly loyal to Ewers, so much so that they choked in the SEC title game to Georgia again. So
right,
it's I just know how Sarkeesian operates at this point. He's gonna stick by Manning and it's gonna bite him in the ass. Like we know how this dance ends. Like I'm not gonna, you know, waste too much time thinking about it. Like we know.
for sure,
We
yeah,
know.
100%.
Yeah.
Um,
Last thing for me, Texas running back, Quintrivian Wisner, excellent game. Didn't have a
yes,
touchdown, but had a lot of. He got a ton of third and threes, like a lot of second and sevens. Like he played really well in a lot of short yardage situations, and was able to really rack up the rushing yards by the end of the game. Really solid performance from
Yeah,
him.
100%. I mean,
But
it's a good win, but but it was all their defense, honestly.
exactly, and that's the thing. They have to build on that.
Yes.
And I don't know if they're gonna be able to. I mean, they've got let me see here. They've got Kentucky, Mississippi State, who isn't ranked, but Mississippi State's one of the most improved teams in the country. They're finally showing some strong improvement in the program after the passing of Mike Leach. So they're not an easy victory. Kentucky isn't an easy game. They can raise some hell. Vanderbilt's pretty good. Georgia is very good. A&M is very good. Um, I mean that they've got some tough games ahead, man, and
Yes.
Manning has to level up. I,
100%. Yeah,
if,
I
if
completely agree.
and especially against Georgia and A&M, and I'm not convinced he can. So I'm down on Texas. I'm out. I don't care what happened this week. I think this week was honestly more said a lot more about Oklahoma because
Yeah.
that team is kind of where Texas is, which is they're good, but they just aren't good enough to be super competitive in an ultra competitive conference. Ultra competitive.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Oklahoma almost lost to Auburn 2 weeks back,
Yeah,
so
good
it's
point. Forgot about that.
and obviously, I mean, it's an SEC game. It's going to be tough, but you have to win those games. So,
Yeah, we're
which
not talking
they
about this
did,
week, but Georgia and Auburn was close. I mean,
right?
SEC rivalry games are difficult. We'll be fair, but I mean, 23-6 isn't competitive. So,
Yeah, yeah.
like
When you turn the ball over 3 times, I mean, it's not going
exactly,
to be. You're
exactly.
never going to win,
Yeah,
especially against a good Texas defense. So, no matter
yeah,
how bad the quarterback plays.
yeah. Completely agree. Completely agree. That's all I have on that game. What about you?
Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, so next up we have number 8, Alabama visiting number 14, Missouri. Eric, what do you have on that one?
Yeah, Alabama goes into Missouri, wins it 27-24. Alabama moves to 6 in the AP poll. Missouri drops down to 16. I mean, good win. This was a great win. Good game as
Very
well.
win. Yeah, yeah, and again, I think similar to Oregon, I think we have to use the logic of, oh well, Florida State was really highly was well, actually that's not true. Florida State was in the dumpster when that game started. I apologize, I forgot about that. Florida State was so bad last year, they weren't ranked, they were unranked to start the year, and they started off promising with a 3-0 start. Now Florida State's in the dumpster again after a loss to Pitt. Um, but
Uh,
that Florida State loss looks very, very bad for Alabama. I think that's going to hold them back from
yes.
getting into the top 5 for the next, or rather the top 3 for the next couple of weeks, even though one could argue that they are a top 3 team in the country. Ty Simpson had a rough first game against Florida State. Ever since then, he has been one of the best quarterbacks in the sport, and he just further validated that this week. 23 for 31, 200 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Excellent game for him. He really has had a remarkable turnaround. And Kalen DeBoer's really turned this season around when we all thought he was dead in the water. It's been very, very impressive. I'm really liking what I see out of Alabama. I'm not seeing someone on par with Ohio State, but I am seeing someone who can get deep into the playoff. They're much better than we thought they were at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Um, yeah. So for Missouri, Bo Prabiola transfer from Penn State last season.
Who has
One
had a great year up to this point. Great
yeah,
year.
he came here, wanted a starting job. 2 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, 16 for 20, 167 yards. I mean, he
Yeah.
didn't play good at all,
Yeah.
but they
And a
still
pick
almost
on the
won the
last
game.
drive.
What does that say about Alabama?
Yeah, and on a pick on the last drive when he pulled a Drew Aller, he took a
Yeah,
he had the Drew Aller playbook on that last Missouri drive.
he learned
Um,
from the best,
he learned from the best. That's true.
the best of
Um,
the worst.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I Pribula was easily his worst game of the season.
Yeah,
Just had command to an extent, but always choked
yeah,
when he had to make a big play, even if it didn't result in a turnover. And it allowed Alabama to slowly but surely take control. And even on the last drive, I never really had a feeling like Missouri was gonna, you know, follow through and yeah, at the very least tie the game. I really didn't have a lot of faith in them going into that final drive because Alabama had really taken control of the entire situation in that entire game. Um, yeah, Missouri. Look, as we just said about Oklahoma, the SEC is so freaking competitive that even the good teams like Missouri can't compete with the great or the elite teams, and they're in a really tough conference, and you're going to lose some big games. That's just the way it is. And Missouri is not bad. I like Eli Drinkowitz a lot, actually. I think he's pretty underrated coach, but he's just not good enough to compete with the big dogs in the conference. Not to say Kalen DeBoer is a big dog. We've had our fair share of laughter in his direction, but I mean, Drinkowitz is just not quite up to par, and I think you can really tell. Pribula looked like a deer in headlights for a large portion of that game. I don't think he fully understood what was happening. Obviously, the last interception was brutal. He threw right into a defender's hands because his receiver was nowhere in the vicinity. He was not on the same page at all, and that falls on Drinkowitz. So bad game from Missouri. Very discombobulated all around. Um, yeah, I guess that kind of sums it up.
Yeah, for sure. I do like how Drinkwitz is using Bo Prabula though. I mean,
True dual threat.
because yeah, exactly. He's a true dual threat. At Penn State we saw it a little bit. I think they honestly could have used him a little more.
Exactly. They didn't give
Um,
him enough of an opportunity to really
in like
utilize.
RPO situations, maybe like a third and short. Um, but
Sure.
I mean they obviously stick with Aller, but I like how they're using him. I mean
I agree.
he looks good on his feet and he knows what he's doing. Honestly, looks a little bit more comfortable on his feet rather than throwing the football.
He does. He does. 100%. 100%. Yeah, no. Big victory for Alabama. Big victory. They needed a big one after that Florida State debacle. And yeah, it worked out.
Yeah,
It
for
worked
sure.
out. Should we be nicer to Kalen DeBoer moving forward?
I think we can for now. For now,
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I
this is a,
agree. I agree. He's a good
this is
class.
a good win for him. But I mean, for now until he does something again that we don't like. But
And let's be honest, we know he will.
yeah, yeah,
We know he will. Let's just be fair. Let's be honest. Yeah, no, that's kind of all I had to say. We didn't have a lot to say about that one, but it was a big game against top 15 in conference rivalry, so we wanted to talk about it. But yeah, it really was just about Bo Prabula and Kalen DeBoer. I mean, that's
yeah,
really what it was about. And again, I'm telling you, man, Ty Simpson, dark horse Heisman contender. After that first game, he has been amazing. He's been so good. I don't know if he wins, but he might be a finalist. I'd vote for him as a finalist.
yeah,
He's really really good. So again, I don't know how far they go, how how far he gets in with that voting, but he's really really talented. Um, yeah, and honestly, that team isn't good enough for a mediocre quarterback, right? You need a great quarterback to make up for Alabama's deficiencies. And he's been playing elite. Let's be fair.
for sure.
Yeah, that's all I have on that game. What about you?
Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, and then a game that gave both Eric and myself a lot of pleasure and a lot of joy and a lot of humor. This is number 15 Michigan visiting unranked University of Southern California. Eric, what do you have on that?
Yeah, so Michigan travels west to USC, loses it 13-31. They're now unranked, and USC moves to 20. Bryce Underwood, so much hype coming into the year, and rightfully so. Five-star recruit, number one player in his class,
Yep.
coming out of Michigan, and he has he honestly hasn't looked good. He didn't look good this game at all. Looked terrible this game. Yeah, he had two touchdowns, really bad interception, and 15 for 24. Really ugly game for him. And on USC side, they played good. I mean, they just shut him down.
Yeah.
And it's just a huge win for USC, of course. Michigan has had some recent struggles, especially under Sharon Moore,
Yeah.
who stepped in for as the head coach when John Harbaugh left.
Jim Harbaugh.
Or
Jim
yeah,
Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh leaves, goes to the Chargers after the cheating scandal, which they did.
They did.
Um, so
They
and it,
did.
but and which Michigan, as of right now, they don't look like they're turning the corner to become that elite team that they once were.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can beat Ohio State. Who cares? They're going to be playing in the Sugar Bowl this year anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean they
Exactly. I actually okay. I think Sharon Moore's a very good coach. I truly believe that.
yeah.
Okay. I am very surprised that it's taking him this long to get the program into focus.
Me too. Yeah, very
we
surprised.
we all expected last year to be a bit of a mixed bag as he got control of the program, but we knew that the players who were leftovers from Harbaugh's time had remarkable respect for him. They loved him. Absolutely loved him. That's why he got the interim gig when Harbaugh was suspended, is because they love him there.
Yeah,
He went into Penn State and won that game as the interim coach. So he's a very, very, very good coach. I truly believe that. But it's taken him a couple years to really get his footing. And he's struggling against the teams that have proven to be very good. Oklahoma, he lost to that team. We just called out Oklahoma for being not great, but Oklahoma's good, very good, right? And they lose
right.
that game. Nebraska, as we mentioned when we were talking about Matt Rule at the beginning of this episode, has taken that dumpster fire of a program over the last couple decades. Once a powerhouse, not anymore, but they're ranked again. They're respectable again. They're 5-1, and Michigan barely beats them. They beat
Right.
Michigan. They beat Nebraska 30-27, and then this game against USC. I mean, against the very good teams, he's not doing great, and he's 1-3
No,
against the ranked teams, and the one he won was by its field goal. I mean, he's real. They're really not having a great year when you actually dive into their opponents and who they're playing. And
exactly.
I really am surprised because I expected last year for Michigan. I did not expect this year for Michigan. I thought they'd be back by now.
I
And I'm
completely
very
agree.
surprised. I'm very surprised that I'm very surprised that they are where they are at this point. And if I'll tell you what, if Moore can't win next year, he might be out. They're going to run
Yeah.
out of patience with him.
Yeah, 100%. And especially, I mean, even with them getting Bryce Underwood, who comes in as the top
That's a big
quarterback in his
recruit.
class,
Yeah.
I thought this was the year they definitely turn around. Now their team's young. Andrew Marsh, the leading receiver in this game, 8 receptions, 138 yards, and a touchdown. He's a freshman, and so is Bryce Underwood. So they're a young team, but there's no excuse that they should be losing 31-13 to an unranked USC.
Yeah. This USC
So
team, USC has not been very good under Lincoln Riley. You need to win that game.
yeah,
You need to win that game. Um, Very, very frustrating. As for USC, they are ranked now, as you said. Beating up on crap. Beating up on Michigan State, who Jonathan Smith has not completely turned that program around. They're 3-3 at this point. Um, uh, Purdue,
yeah.
trash.
The only notable games from their schedule so far have been Illinois and I guess Michigan because they were both ranked at the time. They played them. They looked good versus Illinois. Looked even better against Michigan, but going into Notre Dame, they're gonna lose.
Yeah, going into Notre Dame, they're going to lose. And honestly, the way Nebraska's looking right now, they might
Yep.
lose that game at Nebraska.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That they can definitely lose that game. It's going to be a physical game, and yeah, they can easily lose. Yeah, I mean, the rest of the schedule they got: Notre Dame, Nebraska, and Oregon, all the ranked teams, they're going to lose. They even might lose to Iowa.
Is Iowa at home?
It's at USC.
Okay, then they'll probably win that game because Iowa's actually a hard place to play, but Iowa on the road is not very good.
Yeah.
So they'll probably win that game.
Yes,
But
I mean
still,
as far as their ranked schedule goes, not looking good. I
no.
mean, and it's a tough next 2 games.
Yeah.
So
Lincoln Riley is continuously and on excuse me, an underachiever, and he has 9 lives. How that man still has a job is beyond me. He wins nothing.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
people
he's
give
losing.
we
I mean,
we
past couple
gave
years he's been
James
losing a
yeah
lot of notable games.
we gave James Franklin shit for years, deservedly so. Why aren't we giving Lincoln Riley the same attention?
For sure. Yeah.
What does that guy do? I mean, he loses the seriously. What does he do? I mean, he just that yeah. His tenure at Southern Cal is really not working out. Um, I don't know how much of it. How much of it do you think is? I'm just curious because I don't have an answer. How much of it is the shift to the Big Ten? Do you think USC is struggling to compete in the Big Ten, or do you think it's all Lincoln Riley?
Um, I think they are struggling um with the shift. I mean, it's tough.
Sure.
You
You're going
know,
from the Pac-12, and the Pac-12 felt like it was dead for 5 years before it well, it's still around, but you know what I meant. The version that
yeah.
was playing football when that version dissolved. Going from that to a much more competitive conference will result in some struggles. But I didn't think they would be losing 4 games a year. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
that's crazy to me. USC is a big time program with a lot of financial resources, and that's what you put out. I mean, that's insane to me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're what 7-6 in Big Ten play through these past couple through these 2 years.
Awful,
That's not. Yeah, that's terrible.
awful.
Um, yes, they just had a Big Ten win against a not so good team, so it's hard to judge it.
Exactly.
Yeah, they were ranked. That doesn't mean too much to me because they never really looked that good. They lost to
Same here.
Oklahoma, Michigan. They lost to Oklahoma. Had a good win against Nebraska. But I mean, it doesn't really matter. I
Yeah,
mean, I don't honestly know why they were really ranked in the first place. They get so much hype, and it was honestly just because of their recruiting class.
exactly.
With
It's just like Notre
Andrew
Dame.
Marsh and Bryce Underwood coming in.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's nothing to nothing to really write home about.
yeah,
They're not really impressing
yeah.
me
No,
so
I
far.
agree. I
Um,
completely agree. I
their
don't
schedule, as
know
far as their schedule goes,
exactly what.
it's easy.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree.
Until Ohio State,
I have
but
faith. I have faith that it'll work. I truly believe in Sherrone Moore. I know people are probably going to laugh at me for that. But I think he's a good coach. I'm just surprised it's taking him this long to form the team.
yeah, me too. And especially with the talent he has right now. I mean, he has the obviously, like I said, the best quarterback in technically
That-
should be the best quarterback in college football.
In
So
that class, yeah,
yeah,
definitely. Uh,
but I mean, he's not bad. He's just overhyped.
yeah,
But he's not. He's not bad. He's not Arch Manning bad.
I agree.
But I mean,
He's
he's
not.
not that good. His QBR is 71. That's not. It's not good. He only has 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions on the year. That's also not good. But
Yeah,
he's only a freshman, so I guess we have to give him time to develop. But
we do. I
we've
think we
seen
do.
how this class has worked out so far, and it hasn't been great. So
Yep, you're 100%. Completely agree with you. Completely agree with you. Okay, guys. Well, that's all. Well, actually, I should ask. That's all I have on that game. What about you?
yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, guys. So thank you so much for listening to this week's games. Again, sorry, I guess, for not talking about the NFL, but the NFL games weren't very good. I mean, they were fine, but not the way the college games were, right, Eric? I mean, the college games
Right.
really gave us a lot. There was a lot of meat on those bones, and we yeah, nothing too juicy in the NFL. Looking ahead to next week, the big game for me is Ole Miss and Georgia, top 10 opponents. That'll be at Georgia. I mean, that's a big time game. That's a big time game. That's going to be substantial for both programs. College football playoff hopes, as are the games for Alabama and Tennessee. That's another top 12 matchup, and that's going to have a lot of playoff implications as well. Both teams at one loss. Are Josh Heupel and Kalen DeBoer going to play down to each other? And will either of them level up to have the victories that both desperately need to be taken seriously? USC Notre Dame, that's also a game next week. That's a huge rivalry. I suspect we're going to talk about that one solely because of the names involved. Um, Utah BYU, I mean, maybe Utah's not very good. We'll see if that game ends up being substantial. Um, yeah, and LSU. Oh, I almost missed it. LSU Vanderbilt. Can Garrett Nussmeier actually play well? Can Garrett Nussmeier play like a quarterback that was projected to go in the first 3 or 4 rounds of the draft last year?
Yeah,
Can
he's
we?
another case of the overhyped quarterback.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, I'm not buying it on him.
There's a lot of overhyped quarterbacks, but I mean, it might sound crazy, but I mean, it's just true. So
No, you're right. You're right. And then as for the NFL, Rams Jags in London, that's a good game. But looking at the schedule, all these games are awful. I mean, I guess the Eagles Vikings is okay. But I mean, Carolina and the Jets, who on God's green earth is going to waste their time watching that garbage? Who I mean that's like if you hate yourself, you will watch the Panthers versus the Jets. Colts Chargers, that's actually going to be a pretty good game. I've been supportive of Daniel Jones on this show. Will he embarrass me? There's a chance he will. So we'll see what happens in that game. But yeah, the NFL continues to not put out a ton of top-notch product. Even the Bucks Lions, I don't think is a particularly sexy or exciting game on Monday Night Football. So we'll see if the NFL delivers anything that is worthy of discussion. But college looks like a lot more. Looks like a lot more interesting things are going to be happening over there next week. So just FYI, that's probably the direction we're going to go. But we'll see. We'll see how the games shake out. Eric, what games are you looking forward to?
yeah, I mean, all the college games you mentioned are going to be great.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, it's just going to be we're definitely going to see some more upsets, I think.
yeah,
Um, 100%. And if Vanderbilt goes in, they play at home, but if they beat LSU, which they could,
yeah.
but I
Diego
mean,
Pavia is going to need to have one of the games of his life.
yeah, 100%. Tennessee Alabama is going to be another great game.
Yeah,
Even Missouri Auburn maybe. I mean, it
yeah. Ole Miss
just
Georgia is
depends.
going to get all the attention, deservedly so. But I think the most interesting game for me is Alabama and Tennessee because both of those teams are
Tennessee,
right on
yeah.
the cusp. Right on the
Tennessee's
cusp.
Yeah,
They're
exactly. This is a huge game for both these programs because Tennessee, I mean, they're one of the most interesting teams in college football right now with the losses they have, and
yeah,
same with Alabama.
yeah,
So, yeah,
yeah.
this
Completely
is a
agree.
big game, big game for these two. So, I do think Alabama wins this game though by a little bit.
I agree. I'm going to predict Alabama too. I'm going to predict Alabama too. Okay, guys. So that is episode 7 of the Catching the Facts podcast here on the Catching the Facts official podcast network. We air every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, high noon here on the East Coast. We air on YouTube and Spotify. Please follow us on both platforms. We are trying to raise our credentials on both of those platforms and get a lot of new viewers here. So please follow, like, subscribe, leave comments, do anything you can to interact because we love hearing your opinions on all this stuff. It's not just about Eric and I, it's about all of you. So yeah, please leave your thoughts. We'd love to hear them. Eric, do you have anything else before we go?
No, that's all I got for everything.
Okay, guys. So on that note, we will see you next week for a lot of really interesting college games and maybe 1 or 2 NFL games if they end up being really good. We'll see what happens. But until then, I'm your host, Dan Sisk,
And I'm Eric Schroeder.
and we'll see you then.